Hi, welcome to Nourishing Maine. I'm Marge Kilkelly here at Dragonfly Cove Farm.
And I'm Mary Kate Rennie.
And we are going to talk about summer cookouts and company and gardens today because that's the kind of day it is.
What's coming in your garden?
Well, we've got rhubarb and we've got zucchini, lots of zucchini and summer squash, which there was actually, there's this wonderful Maine joke about in August, you should always lock your car doors. Not because we have a high crime rate, but because somebody may fill your car with zucchini. Because
baseball bats.
Zucchini is one of those things that we have lots of. Yeah. And one of the things, we're going to talk about some simple recipes today, but we're going to be adding onto our Facebook page a number of different recipes for the things that will be in your garden, and lots of them.
Yes.
So.
And today we're doing 3 different recipes, all summer related. They can be picnic foods. They can just be out of the house, you know, lovely, keeping it cool kind of recipes. And I think that we're using basil too. It's another herb that just goes crazy in the summer. And yeah, we're going to use up a lot of our veggies.
And we're going to start with Mary Kate's barbecue sauce that is not a red barbecue sauce. And its primary ingredient is?
Rhubarb.
Who knew?
I call it Rhubarby-Q Sauce.
Ooh. Bada boom.
But it's also the sweetener. We do put some sugar in there, and we'll be putting it together with you today. But dates are also used, and it just adds a nice hint. It's really a delicious recipe. So.
And the barbecue sauce is going to go on chicken. But it can also be on other things. We're going to make a salad today with a pesto, and then we're going to make some lemonade. So let's get started on the barbecue sauce.
Yeah, let's. And the great thing about this recipe is it all gets put into the pot, and then it's just stirred down on the stovetop till it's jammy. And then you know you're done, and cool it off, and you can use it right away. But we're going to start with
rhubarb. And on the pot, it really is important to have a heavy bottom pot.
It is.
Because it is going to be cooking and you don't want it to scorch on. So
yes.
A heavy bottom.
Yes, and there is a 1.5 cups of sugar, so it can scorch kind of easily. So good point.
So we're going to start with 4 cups of rhubarb, and we've cut some of it already.
And if you cut them in relatively small pieces, this is just fine. If they're smaller, it just means it cooks down a little bit quicker.
And probably has less fiber in it, don't you think?
Yeah.
Rhubarb is great. You can freeze it if you want to use rhubarb, like having a strawberry rhubarb pie in the wintertime. Or if you make this recipe, this can be frozen.
I froze some the last time I made it. I wanted to make sure that it could last. This recipe that we're making makes 1.5 pints. So that's quite a bit of barbecue sauce. It's about a store jar's worth. But you could slather a lot on there.
Mary Kate shared some of her rhubarb sauce with me a couple of weeks ago, and she said, "What did you put it on?" And I said, "Everything." I like sauce a lot.
But to your point, though, it does taste great with pork, potatoes. I mean, it's really got some depth of flavor.
Yeah, it does. All we need is this one full, and we should be good.
Yeah. So again, it's 4 cups of rhubarb, cut relatively small, and then go ahead and throw in 1 cup of onions, which we've diced up. Put those in there. Then again, one of the favorite ingredients of this recipe are these dates.
We'll share them.
Let's cut those.
You do some and I'll do some.
And they tend to cook down at the same rate as the rhubarb. So it's a great combination in the pot.
So cut them pretty small.
Small. But
they
melt.
Dates. They do. I mean, they're like little packets of sugar, actually. I like dates. I like dates in baking. I haven't used them in a barbecue sauce until today.
So it's 8 to 10 dates. They can be pretty plump, but you can't go too far overboard. 8 to 10 is about 1/2 cup.
This is another one of our recipes where, yes, we'll list the ingredients and yes, we'll list the amounts, but it's very forgiving. And if there's something that you particularly like, go for it.
In the meantime, I'll stir a little bit up. It calls for 3/4 of a cup vinegar, and I used red wine vinegar. You can certainly use apple cider vinegar. If you've got just basically white vinegar is fine as well. It does mellow out as you cook it on the stovetop.
3/4? Mm-hmm. Measure.
And what kind did you use?
Just cider vinegar.
Cider vinegar, great.
I'm a cider vinegar person.
That's great. So it does add that delicious tartness to this recipe. And then now we're gonna go into all the different spices and the sugar. So if you wanna, I'll give you the sugar.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put in 1 1/4 cups of sugar.
Mm-hmm. And the wonderful thing again about this recipe is it calls for a lot of interesting spices that you wouldn't necessarily use in a barbecue sauce. Allspice came to mind, which is one of the ingredients, as is dried ginger.
Ooh.
I know.
It has fascinating flavors, and when you are, actually, want to just pour that one?
Sure.
Just fill up that cup.
And a little spillage. Little sugar doesn't hurt.
No.
So we're going to start with the dried ginger. You can add candied ginger.
Oh, I love candied
and
ginger.
I did mince it really, really small, and it just adds just a little bit of extra.
I often have sushi ginger in my refrigerator.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. You can probably substitute that for the dried.
Yeah. I use it in all kinds of different things.
I went a little bit crazy there.
There we go.
All right.
And then 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika.
Right. Again, some of these
smells are so
ingredients I've added after the fact. The first time I made it, it did not call for smoked paprika, and barbecue sauce does need a little smokiness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I bet you could use some of those ancho chilies or, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I like spice. Joe, not so much, but that's okay.
And then chili powder.
Chili powder. We want 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder. All these smells are just, I mean, they're just barbecue smells.
Mm-hmm. But then you throw in a curveball like allspice.
Yep.
Which is
1/4 teaspoon of allspice.
Just a kiss of allspice. Just a little baby one.
I also have measuring spoons that do a smidgen and a pinch.
Really?
I do.
I love it. What is a smidgen? Is a smidgen a quarter?
It's pretty little.
That's pretty little. Or an eighth even?
Yeah, but probably. 1/2 teaspoon of cumin.
Okay. Cumin. One of my all-time favorite ingredients. Even fits in there. Okay.
1/4 teaspoon of powdered coriander.
Okay.
And 3 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to start mixing this.
This is almost like the base of a chili, like a bean chili.
Oh.
Right? There we go.
I know I probably do that too much, but the smell of some of these foods is just so amazing. You know, with the vinegar and the sugar, it's starting to make its sauce.
It does.
And it's going to pull the juice right out of that rhubarb.
And the 3 teaspoons of salt will also pull out
totally.
a lot of the juice. 1. And it's not salty, this recipe.
Nope, it's not salty at all.
It really absorbs it beautifully.
All right, I'm going to put this on the stove. How long do you think we're going to have to?
So on a medium-low heat, because there's so much sugar in there or sweet things, you don't want to scorch it or have brown bits in this barbecue sauce necessarily. So I would start about 10 minutes at a medium-low. It'll really start to soften like they do, onions and the rhubarb. And then you can keep an eye on it, stir it occasionally, keep it at medium-low, maybe medium, and you'll be done with it being at a jammy consistency, like what you would want on your brush as a barbecue sauce. I would say 30 minutes tops, closer to 25.
All right, it's going to the stove.
And you do want to babysit it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it smells so good.
Right.
So to go with that, so we're going to put the barbecue sauce on chicken.
Today it's going to go on chicken.
And we're also, since we're going to have the grill going anyway, and we all have lots of zucchini. I'm going to use the same knife I got.
Okay.
We're going to grill some zucchini. And what we're going to do with the zucchini is slice it lengthwise. And it's going to go on the grill. And when it comes off the grill, we're going to sprinkle it with some Parmesan cheese. Mm-hmm. And it's just going to be a lovely side.
And as we all know, zucchini and yellow squash are full of water as well. So I went about, I don't know, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
Yours is even thicker. It will be delicious.
Yeah. So we're going to have a chicken barbecue today, and we've got the zucchini slice, which is going to go on the grill with the chicken, and our barbecue sauce. Is our barbecue sauce ready?
It's ready. And this is what the barbecue sauce looks like once you've cooked it down for those 25 minutes. Let it cool, of course, and jar it up or put it in a bowl, and it's ready to spread on chicken or anything else. So now we're ready to make our second recipe for the dinner that we're having this afternoon.
And we've all had pasta salad, macaroni salad. There's every way of doing it. I mean, when I grew up, it was, you know, onions and celery and mayonnaise and macaroni and always elbow macaroni, and that was just kind of it. But there's so many other ways of doing a pasta or macaroni salad.
When you get tired of the coleslaw and potato salad, pasta salad is the name of the game, especially with fresh basil.
Yes, and we have lots of fresh basil this time of year. So we are going to make a quick pesto and put it over pasta. So we've got 2 cups. We've got 2 cups of basil in my amazing little Ninja here.
And it is so beautiful.
And it is so beautiful. And
so 2 cups tightly packed.
Tightly packed. And it's going to make a noise. And then we're going to add half a cup of olive oil.
All right. And I'll leave a little bit to, can we drizzle through the top?
Right here.
Okay. Oh, in there. I'm gonna put a little bit more.
Yep.
And you can eyeball this as you make it, because you know everyone has their favorite texture, but pasta makes it so silky and delicious.
Oh,
so you don't have to make it too runny in a pasta salad.
Now we're going to put in 2 cloves of garlic.
All right.
And you all know that I love crushing garlic. That black knife right there is a good one, I think, which is just so satisfying.
You smash it like you mean it.
So satisfying. And it just takes the skin and the papery skin off that garlic so nicely. And then just cut off the little bottom piece. Throw it in there. And then we're going to put walnuts in. We've got half a cup of chopped walnuts.
And as you know, many recipes for pesto call for pine nuts. They can be pricey and hard to find sometimes, and walnuts suffice beautifully.
I'm so frugal, I would say they're always pricey. But that's okay. They are always pricey. They're good, but it is a loud process. There's no question about it.
And last but not least is the Parmesan cheese.
And we are going to put in half a cup of Parmesan cheese to just finish this delectable thing.
And
a
the
little bit of
salt.
salt, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And most recipes don't say, at least my recipes, don't say how much. And it is easy to oversalt your pesto. So I would start with a half of a teaspoon.
Okay.
But it does need it. The parm lends some salt, but the basil does need it. So,
and as with anything, it really is, to taste. I mean, some people like things salty.
and the texture as well. Like some people, myself included, I like to have a chunkier pesto and just put it on sliced tomatoes with a little bit of mozzarella.
I would put a little more olive oil in there.
it.
I think it's just a little dry.
So it called for half a cup. And we're gonna, maybe I was a little skimpy. There you go.
All right. And it also may depend on the kind of basil that you're using, and if it's basil that has a lot of water to it. This is basil that we just picked out of my garden.
And putting the salad together really is as quick as we're going to make it look.
It is.
Marge made bow tie for our pasta salad, one of my favorites.
And we're just going to stir it in here. What I like to do when I'm making a pesto salad is, obviously I've cooked the pasta ahead of time. It's been in the refrigerator, so it's chilled. But I like letting it sit for just a little bit to let those flavors really get into the pasta. And when it comes, again, like I said, growing up, you know, when we had macaroni salad or pasta salad, it was always elbow macaroni. Whatever you've got, you know, just whatever you've got on hand is wonderful. It's right.
And for a pop of color and a little bit more moisture,
Yep.
you can add some cherry tomatoes to this.
You can. And we will.
And we will.
There you go.
Here we are.
It's beautiful. Just gorgeous.
I bet you could add, you know, a protein on there, or, you know, or more cheese, a little sprinkle of black pepper. But for the most part, the pesto does the heavy lifting.
And there is a glass bowl over there to make it even look prettier.
For the summer table. Yum.
And there it is, a 5-minute pesto salad.
Yet another ingredient from the garden that provides plenty of bounty and,
something that,
ideas for
yeah, and if
picnics.
You've got some of it, you've got a lot of it.
You do have a lot of it.
So we've got the salad done, and Joe's out on the grill cooking, and I bet he's got some good Joe way tips for cooking chicken on the grill. What do you think?
I bet he does too.
Let's go do it.
Welcome back to the Joe Way. Today we're going to discuss grilling chicken and some do's and don'ts while you're at it. When I cook chicken on a grill, I warm the grill up to my temperature of 350 to 375 after I've cleaned the grates. And then I take the chicken and I cover it with my barbecue sauce. I put the pieces on the grill, and most grills have 3 or 4 burners in them. And what I do is I stick the chicken leg on so that the foot part of the chicken leg is in a non-heated space between the burners, and have the meaty part of the leg on over the heat. That way you're not going to char the end of the leg off as you cook it. I shoot for a temperature of 160 in the meatiest part of the chicken. And one of these meat thermometers is probably your best friend, because then you know what the internal temperature is. And if you don't know what the internal temperature is, you're not going to know if your chicken is done. When you stick this in and you take the temperature before 165, this thing will read, say, 150 or 140, and when you pull it out of the chicken, there'll be drops of red fluid. 161. Now, if you look, you'll see the little red, the juice come out of there was reddish. You don't want that. You want it to be a clear juice coming out. See, that was a little red too. So what I'm going to do is I want these at 165. When you get to 165 or higher and you pull it out of the chicken, it will be a clear liquid, and then you know that the chicken is done. I always put the tip of this right on the bone inside of the leg or the other pieces of chicken, because once the bone is cooked to that 165, your chicken is done. Then you can take it off. When I get done and bring the chicken in the house, I take the bottle of barbecue sauce that I used and I throw it away, because my little brush had been in contact with the sauce and with the raw chicken. And you don't want to contaminate yourself. We also put it on a clean plate. We take it out on one plate, bring that plate in, exchange it for a clean plate, and take that out, and that's what we bring the cooked chicken back in. You got to be very careful with chicken and pork and beef of putting them back on the same plate that you took them out to the grill with. And that's the Joe way. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Joe, for cooking the chicken. And it looks absolutely gorgeous. And the zucchini. So we've got chicken, we've got zucchini, we've got an amazing pesto salad, and now we need
something to drink.
something cold and delicious.
That's right. So we're going to be making a berry basil lemonade. And as all
Basil?
I know, it's so fruity and aromatic, and it's just a slight little taste. It's not overdone. Yes, so you can start with store-bought lemonade if you'd like, and then make a fruit simple syrup. And that's what we'll start with now, because that's what I did earlier. So what you add is 1.25 cups of sugar with a cup of water, and you bring that down on the stovetop till it's all dissolved. And then you can add a 1/2 cup of strawberries, and you can chop them really small, or you can put them in the blender because it'll be going into a boiling sugar bath. But if you want it to go more quickly, you can blend it first.
Okay.
And the same amount of raspberries. So
raspberries.
yeah, so 1/2 cup of raspberries, and they do blend down pretty much. So you need probably one of those smaller containers of raspberries. And then you pour that 1/2 cup of raspberry syrup and the 1/2 cup of strawberry into the sugar, and that's when you add the basil. And it's just a handful of the leaves. I wouldn't put in the stems.
Okay.
You don't want to go too crazy with that flavor, but a healthy handful works great in this recipe because it does make 9 cups. You add 9 cups of water to what is a pint of the half pint of the
And you
syrup.
said the other thing is you need to strain it so that you don't have the seeds in it, right?
That's right.
So you run it through a tea strainer or something?
Exactly.
Oh.
So you cook it down for maybe 10 minutes, 15 at the most. You've got the sugar, the water, the berries, and your basil. And it's just singing together, doing its thing, getting all those beautiful flavors out of both the fruit and
Harmonizing.
the basil. But then you do have, some basil leaves that are retired looking. And then you do have the raspberry seeds, which are not horrible. They'd probably sink in your lemonade. But, if we're going to go this fancy with beautiful, ice cubes with fruit in them, you might as well strain it. And that's what I did here. So this is a strained simple syrup with both berries and basil.
All right.
And then here is just pure lemon juice. And
that's 1.5 cups.
1.5 cups. And it's about, depending on the size of the lemon and how juicy it is, about 6 lemons.
Okay.
Yes. And again, if you're in a hurry, pink lemonade from the store would be beautiful in this. And then you just wouldn't use the simple syrup. You'd just put the fruit in there because that would be too sweet. But if you don't want to spend the time, getting your own homemade lemon juice, you probably could use straight bottled lemon juice if you wanted to go that route as well.
So we put half of each of these into these two?
Let's do it.
Let's
yes.
do it.
And then we'll put the decorated ice cubes on the top.
Decorated ice cubes?
Yes.
How do you decorate ice cubes?
You put a lot of fruit in them when you make them. Oh, there you go. And then we would top it off with that water, which we should do now.
Alrighty.
Yep,
And I poured.
you do. And I'm going to slice a couple of lemon slices for decoration
good
as
idea.
well.
Good idea.
Look at how pretty it is already.
It is pretty.
And then the ice cubes will go in last. I just made I don't have an ice cube mold, but I thought I'd use this little dish because this will take longer to melt, of course, and you can just plunk it in there.
And there's basil in there.
There's
and
basil,
strawberries.
raspberries, and strawberries. And then these ice cube trays have a little bit of each.
I'm gonna let you attack this particular
All
ice
right.
cube tray.
Well, I don't know about you, Marge, but I miss these old school ice cube trays because they make a really good size. And a lot, like if you look at this one, although I love the color, it's half the size.
Yep.
So it melts faster.
Yeah.
So we'll
they
see
do
how
melt
this goes.
faster.
Yeah. And these, if they can get brittle and crack in the freezer. Just saying. So you can get leakage. But what a great invention.
Woo.
I'm not gonna lie.
I have one of those for my 1929 refrigerator because it just seems so appropriate.
I know. So you can just
Oh,
ahead
they're
and
beautiful.
plunk them in. And you can see the raspberries in there. I just put a tiny little basil leaf in some of them.
And just, picture this out, on your porch or at a picnic or with company coming over. It's so summer.
It's so
just
summer.
So summer.
It is. And having a little bit of a piece of fruit at the bottom of the glass is just a little treat at the end. Yeah. Ooh. You want to slice a couple more?
Yes, I
This
forgot.
one didn't get any.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not good.
And you could also put a sprig of basil on the top.
Yeah. Because who doesn't have plenty of basil this time of year?
Well, you do.
I got plenty of basil.
All right.
And the interesting thing about basil, and I was talking about this earlier, that we dry a lot of herbs and have them available all winter long. Basil just doesn't do it for me. Dried basil is just
and
not
parsley.
wonderful. Oh no!
I know. I just can't
parsley.
I don't think there's any flavor left, right? Yeah.
All right.
Are we gonna put a little sprig of the?
Oh sure.
I'm just gonna go small though, but you can just. Oh.
Isn't that wonderful?
Mm-hmm. And there we have it.
And there we have dinner.
Summer bounty.
Summer bounty.
Right here.
Mostly from your garden or the local farmer's market, and easy to do and quick and ready. And so now we're gonna put it on a plate.
And I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm always ready. You know I'm always ready.
Look at this.
So if you pour, I'll dish.
Okay.
How's that?
We're dishing all right.
Perfectly cooked chicken.
We'll have to scoop out some of the ice cubes for you.
A couple of pieces of that amazing zucchini, our pasta salad.
I can't resist it. We have to have some of these ice cubes. We made such a.
Doesn't that look pretty?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're ready for a summer lunch. I think we can entertain all over the place this year.
I do too.
And we talked about cherry tomatoes, but I'll tell you, I have more cherry tomatoes.
They come so fast. And I don't know, early in the spring, whenever I'm, buying my little starts, I always go overboard with the cherry tomatoes because when August they start coming, so it's a great use for them.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. Ooh.
Salad is so
screams
good.
Summer.
It does.
And Joe, look at the stripes on this zucchini.
It's
I
perfect.
know, it's beautiful. Charred just right. How's that?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And I'm into fingers when it comes to chicken. The chicken is perfect. It's still juicy. It just is perfectly cooked. And yeah, that's great. There you go.
We did it.
On a warm summer day, when you need to cook, it's always nice to cook outside. And we want to thank you for joining us on Nourishing Maine. I'm Marge Kilkelly. We're here at Dragonfly Cove Farm in Dresden, Maine.
And I'm Mary Kate Rennie, and I want to thank you
for joining us on Nourishing Maine.